Hello everybody, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. This is my weekly live video tutorial, and today we are talking about self-massage. So I am going to cover some fantastic tips and tricks, especially tools that you can use to help you kind of like unwind, relax, release tension. And self-massage is so great because you can do this right before bed, like just in the comfort of your own home, things like that. So not only does self-massage help to relieve stress, but it also promotes like blood circulation, reduces muscle soreness, improves joint range of motion, and just kind of general overall flexibility. So that's amazing. I also love to use self-massage as a way to actually prepare for a professional massage. It kind of like gets that first layer of tension out of the way so that the massage therapist can kind of do some deeper work. And it's also a fabulous way to prepare for a workout, a private session, a coaching session, something like that. I often have a lot of my clients do their self-massage routine either like right before we start our workout or just something that they do throughout the week so that they're nice and limber and we don't have to spend all of that time in session working on those things. So thanks again for joining me. My name is Linnea Rothenmeier, and I have gone from being an injured circus performer with chronic neck pain to the founder of my own Pilates and personal training studio with a focus on rehabilitative exercise and functional biomechanics. So I have personally rehabilitated from 7 different surgeries, a head injury, plus a herniated disc in my neck, and I have come back stronger, smarter, and more passionate to help you on your healing journey, as well as many other clients like you. So let's get started. I do this every single Wednesday. You can join me live 11 a.m. Pacific time here on Facebook. You can also catch the replay and also kind of access the whole library of previous tutorials on YouTube. So definitely check that out. It's an amazing resource. Topics range from anything from kind of managing low back pain to tips and tricks to stay consistent towards your fitness goals. We all know that consistency is key, right? If you work out once for 5 hours once a year, that's not really going to cut it. It's better to be consistent and find something that is sustainable for you. Okay, so, and actually kind of like along those lines, I think self-massage is key. We have so much stress these days in our lives. There's so much busyness that even if your goal is to kind of get stronger or be more athletic or something like that, self-massage is key to kind of maintaining this basic level of health and ease in your body, which is going to allow you to perform better when you go to do those harder workouts or whatever the case may be. Okay, so let's start by talking about some different tools for self-massage. There's tons of variations. I want to start by talking about massage balls. There's a ton of different ones of these. Personally, I prefer like a pinky ball, a lacrosse ball. A tennis ball can be great. They're usually pretty accessible, but they can be a little slippery. Also, there's the product yoga tune-up balls, which are fabulous. They come in this little bag and there's 2 of them. So there's actually a ton of stuff you can do with those. So yeah, let's see. So here I have a lacrosse ball. This one's nice and multicolored. And I actually just gave away a ton of pinky balls in some gift bags for an event I just did. So I also really wanted to make this tutorial so that everyone who got one of those massage balls can now know how to use it. Okay. So maybe you are one of those lucky winners. You know, these are small, they're portable, they're perfect for really targeting like specific trigger points and getting really deep into some hard to reach areas. I'm going to show in a second using a wall, which is a great spot to use one of these. You can also use it on the floor. You can use it for your feet. Generally, a lot of self-massage involves something like a foam roller or a ball, something where you can kind of roll out your tight, stiff muscles using a little bit of traction with like the wall or something. So it's sort of like having your own your own massage therapist, which is also, you know, who doesn't want that? Just like hanging out, just like something that's easy to throw in a bag. Okay, so I'm going to show a little demo, and then we'll talk about a foam roller, we'll talk about a few other massage tools, and then I'm going to get into some mistakes to avoid in terms of self-massage, because there are definitely some things to watch out for. So I want to start by just showing against the wall here. Most of us, a lot of us carry a lot of tension, myself included, kind of around the neck region. Sometimes you might have headaches or just like a really stiff neck pain. You might have like a little bit of a hunchback posture. Those would all be signs of maybe some neck tension. Okay, so when we are foam rolling, one safety tip to, or if we're using any kind of sort of self-massage tool like a pinky ball, a big sort of safety note is that you don't really want to be rolling right over your joints, especially when we're rolling out the neck. So if I show slightly from behind, we want to be targeting these kind of thick muscles around the top of the neck. I like to say where the top of the shoulder becomes the side of the neck, kind of right where my shirt line is right there, okay? So we're going to be rolling all around this area. You're going to be having the ball right up against the wall, but what we don't want to do is like roll directly across the spine, okay? So that's really key. You might actually end up like rolling over it just to get to the other side, but if you do that, you just want to like take the pressure off so that there's not a lot of weight going into your spine right on top of the bones. Okay, so it's a little awkward, and I like to say kind of the funnier you look, the better it feels. So I'll let you experiment with that on your own time. But the easiest way to get into it is to take the ball and put it in one hand and bring it across to the opposite shoulder. Okay, so I'm going to step back here against the wall. I'm going to put it over my opposite shoulder, and I'm going to actually bend the knees. I'm probably about a foot away from the wall, right? You might even like stagger the feet so you've got a little bit of space. And then the other thing you want to do is bend the knees. So I'm going to bend the knees, and then I'm going to lean back, and I'm going to place that ball right against the kind of back part of that neck tissue area. So here I am, and now because my knees are bent, I have this space to kind of roll up and down, side to side, and with the knees bent and about a foot away from the wall, it's also allowing me to push into the wall. So that's kind of allowing me to keep the pressure against the ball, and then you can kind of, I grabbed it and I'm kind of slightly adjusting where I'm putting it. So I can't even actually tell you how many hours I've spent doing this. I've spent a lot of time doing this, and it's just a fabulous, fabulous thing to do. I have a lot of old shoulder injuries from my circus days in this right shoulder. So it's something that I'm kind of constantly working on. One other thing I want to show is if you take your hand behind your head, you can target the side of your lats. So this is a commonly stiff, tight area for a lot of us, whether you're really strong in this kind of side lat area, or you might actually just like sit at a desk a lot, and then this area can be really tight just kind of from slouching and slumping. So you're going to take that ball and put it right at the side of your ribs, and then you're going to face towards the side and just kind of lay into the wall there and rotate side to side. So that is another, oh, that feels good. Another great spot to target and get into. And again, it's nice to, do maybe like 5 passes or so, like back and forth. I call that a pass. So maybe 5 or 6 passes, and then find a slightly different position. You can even go all the way from your side and then roll and go onto your back. So that's kind of a fancy move there to do that one. So there's a little bit of a demonstration of how to use a massage ball against the wall for your neck and shoulder region. Again, making sure that you avoid kind of being right on the bones of your spine. That is key. Cool. Okay, I have a foam roller here next. This one is full length. You can see it's quite tall. It's actually as long as my spine, so that allows me to lay all the way down on top of it. I'm not going to talk too much today about a foam roller because I am in general just talking about self-massage. So I wanted to show the foam roller, I wanted to show the massage balls. There's a few other ones, so I'll talk more about that. So let me know if you're liking this topic, because I'll definitely do a second tutorial all about the foam roller. But for today, I just kind of wanted to mention it. One thing I will say about the foam roller is it's like one of my absolute favorite pieces of home workout equipment. You can do a ton of self-massage on it, a ton of mobility work. Also, if you get this one that's like full length, right? I have this like super long one. Then you can lay all the way down lengthwise on it, and you can do this with a lot of different foam rollers, but there's like a ton of strengthening exercises that you can use a foam roller for as well. So it's kind of like a one-stop shop. I think that in addition to maybe like a few resistance bands and maybe a few massage balls would be an amazing kind of baseline home workout lineup in terms of props and tools and equipment. So that is that. Definitely let me know if you guys want more tutorials on specifically a foam roller. And so now I want to touch on a few kind of mistakes to avoid when it comes to self-massage. I already mentioned like not putting too much pressure right on the bones or the joints, especially like right along your spine. It can sort of a little bit depend on the area that we're talking about, but as a general rule of thumb, we're talking about massaging the soft tissue and the muscle. So avoid being right on the bone or the joint. So that's kind of one thing. Another thing to look out for is just that you don't want to like overdo it, right? It can feel really good to do this work, and a lot of times maybe we get in the habit of like foam rolling before bed or while we watch TV, and it's easy to just kind of keep rolling and keep rolling. And I don't have like the specific study. I can't name exactly where I heard this, although I'd be interested in looking it up again. But I've heard that actually there's been some studies where you can roll and do like foam roller work a little too much, and it will actually induce some tissue stiffness. There's kind of like a reaction that can happen because those tissues are sort of overstimulated from like overdoing it and just like massaging and massaging and massaging those areas a lot, and it can actually have like the reverse effect of what we're actually going for. So I like to say 30 seconds. Right? And that tends to be about like 5 to 10 passes, right? If you're kind of rolling like 5 or 10 times back and forth, grab a clock, watch for 30 seconds, maybe 45, 60 seconds at the most. And then the other thing I like to say with that is like, try, like how I was kind of moving it around, right? It's not like you're going to pulverize one little spot, but try to do like a few passes in one spot and then like slightly move and do a few passes in a slightly different area so that you're getting kind of that whole general area to roll and release, and not like just going super crazy hard at one spot, because it can kind of have actually a negative effect. So hello, Tom. Thanks for joining. We're talking about self-massage. Let me know if you have any questions. Questions are super welcome. Right now we are talking about some things to avoid when it comes to self-massage. So another thing to avoid is kind of thinking that you don't need to ever go see a professional body worker or trainer if you're doing self-massage regularly. This is actually maybe something that I was at fault for back in my younger years, because I was doing a lot of mobility work, a lot of flexibility work back when I was a circus performer. I did a ton of self-massage and I thought that was good, right? Like I was like, oh, I'm self-motivated, I can do this myself. But what was missing for me back in those days was having kind of a comprehensive understanding of what areas in my body were tight, were restricted compared to others. And so, for example, I was having a lot of neck tension and a lot of neck pain, and I did have a tendency to just kind of overdo it with trying to do self-massage around my neck. And oftentimes, actually, like I mentioned, I've done this a lot, and I still actually do a fair bit of self-massage on my neck, but I'm just cautious of just kind of doing a little bit and then moving on instead of overdoing it. And so back in the day, I would kind of overdo it with self-massage around my neck, and sometimes that would have actually this negative effect of kind of increasing the inflammation and heat in my neck. Sometimes I would never really understand why. I would just be like, oh, that didn't really feel good. It didn't help, but I didn't really understand why. And I just kind of like kept doing it. Okay, so a big mistake to avoid with self-massage is to kind of just like mindlessly massage those areas of our body that are a little stiff and achy and think that that's the whole answer, because it might be something else in the body, right? Like there might be a real misalignment in the lower leg, in the knee or the shin or the foot that's like contributing to something that's going on in a different spot in the body. And if we just kind of keep poking and prodding at the area where the discomfort is showing up, it might just be kind of poking and prodding on a spot that's like already a little bit inflamed, but not actually the source of our problems. So oftentimes we actually need like a trained professional to help us like unravel that puzzle a little bit. So like I said at the beginning of this video, I love to suggest self-massage as like a way to prepare for a body work session with a professional massage therapist, or prepare for your workout. It's great to also get feedback from a professional. Even a chiropractor often will give feedback about like what is the best self-massage to do. So definitely those are good mistakes to avoid. And cool, I want to talk a little bit about the group class that I offer, which is called FSP. It stands for Functional Strength and Pilates. And when you participate in my class, it's also like a great opportunity to learn about your body. We go through a lot of self-awareness building. A lot of my students in class become more aware of all these different areas in the body where there might be restrictions, mobility restrictions, things like that. And it's my intention to guide you in this process of becoming more self-empowered about what your whole body is doing, more self-empowered to kind of understand this puzzle of like, oh, if I have a restriction in my foot, maybe that's what's contributing to the low back pain in my, right side and right hip or something like that. And so you, by participating in my class, you gain more skills and knowledge about how to not only do self-massage and mobility work more intelligently on your own, but also how to build functional strength more intelligently on your own. And we always do a lot of mobility and flexibility work in class. We start with that. We start with self-awareness about kind of where you're starting from, right? What's your baseline? If you're starting like this, then we want to do some mobility work to kind of balance out your body before we then strengthen it. The last thing we want to do is just strengthen and reinforce a posture and a pattern in your body that's like not very well aligned and not really serving you. So it's really important to do that self-massage, do that mobility work first, and then do your functional strength training after that. So I hope you'll come join me in class. It happens live on Mondays. You can attend virtually, you can attend in person if you're local to the Olympia area, but you can join me from anywhere in the world virtually. And I also give 5 days of recorded access, so you really can attend the class from anywhere and at any time that works with your schedule. I have a link to share with you guys here, and you can also go check out limberarts.com, /FSP. I'm trying to figure out how, I think the link is already showed. I think it's featured. Let me know if you can see the link. I'm not sure if you can see it. I think it's already featured. It's limberarts.com /FSP, Functional Strength and Pilates, FSP. So your first class is free. If you use the code LimberArts, all caps, you get your first class for free. And thank you guys all so much for joining me. Definitely drop your questions below. You can also keep an eye out usually on Mondays, I post the topic for what I'll be talking about on Wednesdays. So you can keep an eye out for that and post your questions, and also let me know if you have a topic that you would like me to talk about, because I'm super happy to respond to your questions. So all things kind of pain-free strength training, pain-free mobility and active lifestyles. how to manage back pain and stay active and build strength without injury. So that is really what I am so passionate about, helping others to achieve in their lives. And thanks again for joining me. My name is Linnea. You can find me at limberarts.com, Instagram, YouTube, all of those places. And I will see you guys next week.